There was a time that we all really needed a great teacher, and there was a time that we all really needed a great king. But I think today we all need a best friend, and thank God, it's free. You just go by yourself for a little bit, talk to the one who created you, and gave you your circumstances, and created the refuah before he created the makkah, created the healing before he created the difficulty. And Rabbi Nachman says, whenever you're not sure why something's happening to you, you can always know one thing for sure, that because Hashem Echad, and Echad is Gematria 13, which is Gematria Ahava, which is love, that you can know for absolute certain that the cause of whatever is taking place is motivated solely for one reason, because Hashem loves you. Because Hashem loves you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol niyah bidvaro. Oh my gosh. Thank you, sir. Yeah, the oil is quite pungent. Okay. So now we're continuing Likutey Halachot. V'zeh Peirush HaPasuk hazeh. This is the Peirush. This is the very first parak of Tehillim, which Rabbeinu Zal included in Tikkun HaKlali, and has the very famous pasuk, which the Baal Shem Tov says you should poster it opposite your forehead. Shaviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. That Yud Kei Vav Kei Hashem is opposite you always. That this is the most important, most fundamental consciousness which we could ever internalize and invest in. That Hashem is with you always. And we learn that the Ramah in the first halacha of the Shulchan Aruch says that this is the Klal Gadol. And everything we've been doing so far in Likutey Halachot is to try and show you what does getting up like a lion in the morning and awakening the dawn have to do with the fact that Hashem is with me always. Okay, so this is all what we've been discussing so far. So now he says, Hainu hasagot elokut. What does it mean Hashem is opposite me always? It's the concept of having divine perception, divine revelation, to be able to experience godliness in a felt, palpable way, that you are internalizing, that you're feeling, that you're experiencing tremendous revelations of spirituality, and specifically that you realize that Hashem is with you, not just because you heard it in an inspiring shiur, not just because you read it in a book of chizuk, but because you literally mamish feel that Hashem shaviti lenegdi tamid, Hashem is opposite me always. Kimimini balemot, because what's the next part of that parak in Tehillim? That you're at your right hand, you're at my right hand, or I'm at your right hand. I place you at my right hand, I won't falter. And we just said, what is the most important thing to know? That the cause of whatever is taking place in your life is for one specific reason, because Hashem loves you. So you see that this is not a chiddush of Rabbi Nachman. David HaMelech said in Tehillim, Shaviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. How do I know and how do I feel that Hashem is with me always? Ki mimeni balimot. When I place him in my right hand. We know in the language of Kabbalah, the right side is always the side of ahava, of love. The left side is always the side of din, or concealment, or constriction. Hashem's hiding from you. Right side is revelation. Hashem is revealing himself to you. And you see and you experience his love. So therefore, by placing him in my right hand, meaning that that by knowing and by verbally pronouncing that the cause of whatever is taking place is from Hashem's love for me, then the result will be Shaviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. You will feel Hashem opposite you always. Ki ikar binyan malchut, because the essence of the building of the malchut, meaning personally your emunah, meaning personally your ability to influence others, meaning personally your humility, these three things are all connected, and meaning personally your vessel for receiving this divine hasaga, this revelation that Hashem is with you always, You need to build your malchut. You need to build your emunah, because your malchut, your emunah, is your vessel to experience that Hashem is with you always, which is a divine hasaga, a godly perception. This is called, in the language of Rabbeinu Zal, chokhmah tata, your lower wisdom, your malchut, your emunah. Ayadeh bechinat yamin. And the way to build your emunah is through the concept of the right hand, yamin, shehu chesed, which is love, kindness. Like it says there, Ki ayadeh chesed kotzrin otam me'arba malchuyot. How do I extract myself from all of the obstacles, from all of the challenges, from all the maniyot and the yisurim, the suffering? So all suffering comes from a lack of da'at, Rabbi Nachman says in the Likutey Halachot, comes from a lack of this perception of Shaviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. So now that's great. I know that. We've been learning that. How do I actually remove the concealment and bring the revelation of this pasuk into my life, bring the revelation of this consciousness into my life? The only way to extract yourself is to understand what's the problem. The problem is actually the four kingdoms, these four influences in your life, which are hiding or covering over this perception in your heart, in your mind. And what are those four kingdoms? They are called chokhmot chitzoniut, external or secular wisdom. That even though we believe it's parv, even though according to halacha it might be okay, Rabbi Nachman says it's the greatest damage you can do to yourself is to learn, to invest in, to cogitate, to meditate on secular wisdom. Because secular wisdom is the chokhmah, it is the chiyut, it is the life force of teva, of the natural world. And the whole cause of suffering is our investment in nature, meaning our belief that things are always the same, that they can't change, that science and the laws of nature dictate that something needs to be a certain way and can never be altered. This is the cause of your hopelessness. This is the cause of your suffering. So how would I ever be able to experience that Hashem loves me, that Hashem can change, that wants to change, that will change, if I merit it at any moment? You would need to stop receiving life force from the wisdom, which is giving energy and strength, chiyut, life force, to the concept of teva, to the concept of nature, to the concept of I have no hope and things will not change. And through that, you need to engage in what's called chesed. You need to engage in acts of chesed. This will remove and extract you from the four malchut. This will take your malchut, your emunah, out of exile. And you will elevate your malchut, your emunah, to the light of Hashem's face, which we said is the place of all revelation of godliness, the place of all perception that Hashem is with you always. That is coming from the revelation of Hashem's countenance, so to speak, the light of His face. Shebashalosh raglayim. And this is most concentratedly poured forth into the world and into your own personal psyche and soul on the three chagim. That is Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And this is the sod and the secret why Chazal, the Gemara says, that we need to go, said the pasuk, to show our face in Yerushalayim to Hashem those 3 times of the year. Why do the men have to go those 3 times of the year? Because those are the times in which Hashem reveals His face without any obstruction, without any concealments. Shehu b'chinat simchat halev. That is, that through the concept of joy, the happiness of the heart, and like we're learning right now in Torah Hay of Likutey Moharan, that all simcha is in the heart. There is no simcha that takes place outside of the heart. So through the simcha of the heart, ayadei mitzvot shotzim b'chol shana, that the simcha of the heart, that's through the mitzvot that he does throughout the year. So this is a very deep point, which is drawn from the Arizal that Rabbi Nachman brings us, and that is, where is the light of Hashem's face being revealed from? Why is it that on these 3 days there's this huge revelation of the light of Hashem's face, that we can tap into this joy, this simcha that we don't have the rest of the year? The reason is because simcha of the heart is a revelation of the mitzvot that you do during difficulty. And this is a very important point to know, because Rabbi Nachman says, why is it that in Shabbat I'm so happy, that I feel so at ease, that I feel so pressure-free, that I feel so connected to Hashem, and during the week, it's Gehenna. It's like hell. The amount of bills I have to pay, the amount of challenges and difficulties I have with my family, with my wife, with my kids, the amount of inner challenges that I feel, lack of self-confidence, inability to actualize my potential, to do the things that I would love to, that I dream to do in my life. Why am I having these difficulties? So those difficulties are coming from the galut, they're coming from the exile, they're coming from our belief in Teva. That belief in Teva is strongest during the week, because on Shabbat, there is no Teva. You're living a whole day without working. You're living a whole day without preparing. You're living a whole day without doing all things that Al Pi Teva you have to do in order to survive, and it's the best day of the week. So it's to remind you, Hashgacha Pratit, every day. It's going to remind you Shabbat. It's to remind you Amunah. So what is it that causes the Simcha of Shabbat? So interestingly, it's the mitzvot that you do during the week that causes your joy on Shabbat. So the degree to which you engage in mitzvot during the week, whether it be learning Torah, whether it be doing mitzvot, whether it be doing acts of kindness, whether it be working on your midot. So all of these things are mitzvot, and they're hard during the week. So what's the reason I don't experience the joy during the week? Because if in truth the simcha is coming from the mitzvah, so then why am I having no simcha from the mitzvah? So Rabbi Nachman brings a very deep point, and it's based on the Arizal, and that is that the klipot are very strong during the week. And when you do a mitzvah, so to speak, the joy that comes from the mitzvah, you can't experience then and there, because the sitra achra doesn't let the mitzvah go up. So you've done the mitzvah, so to speak, it's existing right here next to you. And if it were to go up, you would automatically feel the simcha from it. But because the sitra achra is so strong during the week, you can't feel it. However, all those mitzvot are accumulating during the week. And then on Shabbat, when the klipot go away, because there's no hold of the sitra achra on Shabbat, then all of them go up at once, and as Shabbat comes in, you automatically start to feel simcha. And as well, and we're learning that the ikar of the simcha is these three chagim, meaning that as opposed to Shabbat, which you get from the mitzvot of the week, when it's difficult, when it's challenging, now they all go up, and Shabbat you feel the simcha. So too, all the mitzvot that you do during the year that are challenging, that are difficult, but you do them anyway. Then when the chagim come, meaning Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, they all go up, and the light of Hashem's face shines. But the light of Hashem's face is intense, and it's bright, and it's healing, and it's life-giving to the degree that you did mitzvot during the year. Because simcha is a revelation of mitzvah. And that's why David HaMelech says, because in my right hand, I'm not going to falter. Meaning through the right, which is the concept of chesed. Through this, I'm not going to falter. I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to be low and depressed. I won't fall. Velo epol. And I'm not going to lie down. I'm not going to fall over. With their wisdom. That I'm not going to fall from being invested in secular wisdom, Rak eskel lahalot. Only that I should merit to elevate my own seichel, my own da'at, my own consciousness, my own knowledge that Hashem is opposite me always, which only comes from Torah, which only comes from Chassidut, which only comes from Kabbalah. Ad she'ezkeh al yado la'asagot elokot. And I keep doing the mitzvot, meaning I keep doing acts of chesed, and through this, I'm able to continue to extract my knowledge, my da'at, my consciousness that Hashem is with me always from the sitra achra, and through this, I'm able to achieve saga elokut. I'm able to experience divine downloads of God consciousness. And this is the concept of Hashem is opposite me always. And this is why the pasuk says there, at the end, L'chen samach libi v'yagel kivodi. Thus will be happy in my heart, and will be joyous in my honor. Meaning what? Samach libi, happy in my heart. Ze bechinat simchat halev shel mitzvot shosin. This comes from the mitzvahs that I do. They cause me to be happy in my heart, because joy comes only when I'm released from the Sitra Achra. And we know that the koach of the Sitra Achra comes from our investment in secular wisdom. So how do I extract myself from secular wisdom? Through doing the mitzvot. The mitzvot, if you can imagine, they're like those, let's say you go outside, you're planting a garden, okay? So this garden is made up by all the Torah that you learn. This garden is made up by all of the chassiduta that you bring down, by all the hipodadut and the tefillah that you do. But we know that in a garden, you have thorn bushes, you have things around them which are a threat to what you have in the garden. Even if the garden's coming out perfectly, it can all be eaten up and taken out. So that's all the concept of secular wisdom, that it can take away everything that you're doing. So what's the way that I can get myself out of there? Or let's say, for instance, I've made a huge step in my life and I'm actively trying not to engage in, invest in, learn secular wisdom, but still I feel no simcha. So the reason is because that secular wisdom is still inside of you. So how do I extract that secular wisdom from me? I need to cut the secular wisdom down. When you do mitzvot, that's a concept of chesed. I'm doing an act of chesed, which means I'm doing an act of self-sacrifice in order for the greater good. This is what cuts down and chops away the secular wisdom from the heart, and then automatically, lachen samach libi, there's joy in my heart. And the or panim shebashalosh raglayim, and the or panim, which is revealed, the light of Hashem's countenance, which is revealed on Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, is then revealed to me right now. That from there you have the life force of Malchut, which we know in the language of Kabbalah and Chassidut, Malchut is called Kavod in the Torah. So if we look back now at the pasuk that it says, "Lachen samach libi v'yagel kevodi," thus will be happy in my heart when v'yagel kevodi, when I release the Malchut from the Sitra Achra, when I release my vessel for receiving God consciousness from the other side, meaning that I elevate my Emunah from secular wisdom. That's via Gel Kavodi. That by making my Kavod, meaning my Emunah, happy, by releasing it from the Sitra Achra, Lechen Samach Libi, then my heart will automatically be happy. And that's, where do we see that Malchut has anything to do with Kavod? Because we say in Tehillim, this is Chaf Dalet, Melech Kavod, the king of Kavod, meaning the whole concept of Malchut is honor. We know that there's greater honor that you have to show a king, even to a Talmid Chacham. That despite the fact that we know that Talmidei Chachamim, so to speak, contain all the good that's in the world, they contain all Hasaga Elokut, all revelations of godliness, still, when a king comes, we actually have to show more honor to a king than to a Talmid Chacham. Because we know a Talmid Chacham, someone who learns Torah, L'Shem Shemayim, he's learning Torah just to be close to Hashem, not for honor, not for fame, not for money, not for anything else, and to help bring peace into the world. So that's a real Talmid Chacham. It's not dependent on how big his beard is. It's not dependent on the clothes that he wears. It matters, am I learning simply in order to be close to Hashem and to bring peace into the world? If yes, you're a real Talmid Chacham. That's where all Hasaga Elokut comes from. That's where all revelation of godliness comes from. Still, he is able to forsake his honor, right? You could get up for him and he'd say, no, sit down. And you can listen to him. However, if a king comes in, a Jewish king comes in, and he forsakes his honor, the Torah says he's not allowed to. You're not allowed to listen to him. Why? Because the whole concept of kingship, of Malchut, is bound up with Kavod. Right? And obviously, where is this most connected to? Who's the Melech that we're all waiting for? Mashiach. So this concept of Mashiach, of Emunah, when this comes into the world, it can't forsake its own honor. You're not allowed to. You have to always get up for Emunah. And when your Emunah is released from secular wisdom, by doing the mitzvot, your heart is happy. And then the light of Hashem's face, of the three raglayim, it shines down on you. Bechinat lev sameach yetei panim. like it says in Mishlei, the happy heart is doing good by the face. So we see that the concept of the face and the happy heart, they go together. Meaning, what is it that makes my heart happy? It's the revelation of Hashem's face. So this revelation of Hashem's face is actually corresponding to the sphere of Chokhmah. This is, so to speak, Hashem's face. But we can't directly see Hashem's face. Like Hashem said, you can't see me and live. We cannot receive the light of Chokhmah directly. Why? Because it's too intense. However, so to speak, Sukkot, Shavuot, and Pesach, these are connected to the sphere of Bina. Bina is the receiver of the light of Hashem's face. So to speak, Bina is the place where you can receive Chokhmah in a way that's beneficial for me, in a way that's good for me, in a way that brings me life and joy and energy and health and faith and everything that's good. That all comes from the light of Hashem's face. So Hashem's face, meaning Chokhmah, is revealed in the place of Bina. That's the heart. But that only happens when you remove your malchut from exile. You remove your emunah, your faith from exile. Like we said there. That it's through the uplifting of the kavod, meaning my malchut, my emunah. And then is drawn simcha and chiyut to your emunah, to your vessel for receiving and experiencing godliness at your level. Shechu b'chinat kavod. This is the concept of kavod. And through this, af besari yishkon levatach. Even my flesh, it will be settled in tranquility. Shehu basar guf, because the concept of basar is the concept of the guf, of the body. So whenever the Torah is speaking about basar, flesh, it's really speaking in general about your guf. Ki bishvil ze nivrei hadam, because of this was created man. Meaning what? Shiavate gufo ayadei amal v'gia b'torah b'mitzvot. That you are attempting to become a master of your guf by toiling and putting on the all of Torah and mitzvot. Meaning like this. The pasuk says, Ki adam la'amal yulad. Man was born to toil. People say all the time to me, why is it that you're constantly speaking about hibodedut, about tefillah, about learning Torah, mapitom? What about going out to work? What about hishtadlut? What about if I have a difficulty, let me go physically take care of the problem? How can you say that you can just go pray to Hashem and that will be your hishtadlut? Because it's clear from Chazal, it's clear from the Chachamim, it's clear from the Mekubalim, and it's specifically most clear from the Hasidic masters, and to the highest degree from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, that you pick what toiling you do. That even though you have to do hishtadlut in this world, there is no such thing that if a person comes to you and says you don't have to work hard, automatically he is not connected to the truth. You should not listen to him. However, where you work hard is your choice. If you work hard and you toil in Torah and mitzvot, meaning you toil in achieving in the spiritual world, in your own spiritual life, that is the essential toiling. That was the toiling which you were created for. Now, if you don't do that toiling, then for sure you're going to have to toil in the physical world. But Rabbi Nachman says that if you completely toil in the spiritual, then you will not have to toil in the physical. And by the way, this is not Rabbi Nachman's Chiddush. This comes from the Midrash. The Torah says it. Chazal say it. However, Rabbi Nachman says that let's go back and do what Chazal say. That if I'm going to toil completely in the spiritual, then I will subjugate my physical body and I will become a master of the physical world, because the world is a revelation of my body. Ze amal Torah. This is the concept in Eov where it says, this is the toil of Torah. Like it says in Masechet Sanhedrin, Ki tzarichin la'amol b'Torah va'avodah u'kadesh u'taher atzmo kol kach ash yizkeh la'ir gam gufo la'arat me'esagot elokut yiparach. That needs to toil in Torah, in avodah, meaning tefillah, u'kadesh, and to sanctify and to elevate, utaher, and to purify atzmo, yourself, kokach, all the more so. Ad, until she's kela ir gam begufo harot, until that your body will feel the illumination from the perception of godliness. Meaning that the entire reason you were created was not to toil at work, even though you have to go to work in order to support yourself. That is not the purpose of your creation. And if you're going to say, but Hashem created us to toil by the sweat of our brow, that was referring to spirituality. That Hashem wants you to toil in spirituality. And yes, you're going to have to work hard, but that's not the ikar of your life. This is not the purpose of your life. It is a means to an end. It is not the purpose of your existence. The purpose of your existence is to get your goof, your physical body, to experience what your neshama experiences. Rabbi Nachman says that a person, his neshama is constantly experiencing tremendous perceptions of godliness that you can't possibly imagine. But why don't I feel any of these things? Why don't I experience any of these things? Why do I feel so far from these things? I only read about them in the stories of tzaddikim and the Hasidic masters and in different Torah lessons. Why is it that I never experience these godly perceptions? So Rabbi Nachman says, because your vessel for experiencing Hashem is actually your body. So to the degree that you have mastered your physicality, to that degree you will experience the light of your neshama. So when people start to learn Rabbi Nachman's Torah, so they'll say to themselves, wow, this seems really hard. Why is he demanding that I need to learn so much, that I need to pray so much, that I need to do an hour of hibodedut, that I need to work on my eating, that I need to work on my connection to sexuality in a way which is uplifting, in a way that is within the confines of the Torah? So the reason is very simple, because Rabbi Nachman understood the purpose of life. And for him, it's not like I have a purpose of my life and then I also have a side thing going on. There is nothing else beside the purpose of my life. Now, if I have to work to help me achieve the purpose of my life, so good, it's a mitzvah gedola. But not that I'm getting up in the morning and thinking to myself, how can I go make as much money as possible? That you should wake up in the morning and say, how can I elevate my physicality as much as I can so that I can experience the neshama that's inside of me, because that's the source of all shefa. Where does parnasa come from? Parnasa comes from your wife. Okay? But we know that Chazal say that your wife is your goof, she's your body. That's the reason why often your wife is much more wise in the area of physicality, in the area of where to live, in the area of clothing, in the area of all things that are physical. Why does she have a deeper wisdom and a sense of what's necessary in that place than men? Because she is most connected to the goof, to physicality. So too, you have your own wife within yourself. Who's your wife within yourself? It's your actual body. Right? If not for your body telling you I'm hungry, then you would never eat. Just like if your wife never came to you and told you it's time to eat dinner, you might forget. Why? Because she's your goof. Okay? So that's her function. That's her perfection. So too, your body also wants you to eat. However, your body, the way that Hashem created it, is not naturally good. You didn't originally marry a good wife. Originally, your body only wants to draw sustenance from your neshama, not give sustenance to your neshama. So what's the ultimate goal? That you take your body, meaning you take your wife, and you make her into a vessel to be able to experience what your soul experiences. And Rabbi Nachman says this is the greatest rachamim that you can have for yourself. So you would think the greatest rachamim, empathy, I could have for myself would be to relent, meaning I'm going to relax. I'm not going to try so hard spiritually. I'm not going to try to go to the field for an hour today. I'm not going to try and learn so much. I'm not going to try and pray with kavanah. I'm not going to try to do so many mitzvot. I'm not going to try and work on my eating. Why? Because I need to have rachamim. I need to have empathy on myself. Rabbi Nachman says this is not empathy, this is cruelty. Because your body, even though it seems to be desiring deeply the joy of and the limited joy of physicality, what it really wants, like a child that doesn't know what it wants, what it really wants is to experience perception, deep perceptions of godliness. So too, for instance, let's say your actual wife, right? She's asking for money so that she could go buy something. What does she really want? Simcha. She wants to be happy. Now, she has connected happiness to the physical thing. Now, if there was some possible way that she could realize that the joy of the thing is what she's looking for, and she doesn't have to pay money for it, and there's a way for her to experience that without using resources, physical resources, but investing in spiritual resources, even though she is opposing you, even though she is restraining, resisting this, Rabbi Nachman says the greatest rachamim, though, would be to show her she doesn't need something physical to be happy. She needs something spiritual to be happy. But for you to be able to be consistent in trying to show that that's the key to joy, you would need to know that the greatest compassion would not be to listen to the voice of the goof, because the body doesn't know automatically that all joy comes from the neshama, because the body is pre-programmed to derive life force from the physical world. We'll take a break there. Does anybody have any questions in the last 15 minutes here? You can even write them in on the chat if you don't want to say them out loud, but I highly suggest that you write a question, you think of a question. How do I practically apply this in my life? Because ultimately, the degree to which Hashem's wisdom and the degree to which specifically Rabbi Nachman's unbelievable chokhmah will elevate you is to the degree to which you actually physically bring it into your life. So for that, you're going to need to find out how. Okay, I'm not going to say the statement here because it's not a question, although I always say thank you to whoever wrote that. Very nice. Appreciate it. Any other questions? No?
Rabbi, quick question.
Go ahead, shoot.
We're always talking about the tzaddik. We know Rabbi Nachman is the tzaddik, and we learn everything that we have basically from him,
Right.
a lot of all the information. However, it says that we need to have a physical tzaddik, a tzaddik that's gaon, a tzaddik that's could do all these spiritual things that we always read.
Who told you that?
Well, I read it I was reading day by day, and it said you need to have a physical tzaddik, and that knows the spiritual kavanah, and that knows when you come to him what you need to have. I mean, can we really have that physical tzaddik in this generation?
So Rabbi Nachman says, and Rav Natan says, that in our generation and after Rabbi Nachman existed, you don't need a tzaddik on the level of Rabbi Nachman. What you need is a mashpia. You need somebody who is genuinely invested in, at the highest level, the wisdom, the advice of the tzaddik. He's living with it. He is immersed in it. He has da'at, meaning he knows it, and he gives it over to you. Because Rabbi Nachman said to Rav Natan, make many students, but he didn't say make many rabbis. And what was the reason? Because he said there's going to be no Rebbe after me. So why would he say that? If he thought we needed it, then there would be a Rebbe after him. But if he feels that we don't need it, and what we really need is someone who can draw down those teachings for us, then what you really need, obviously, he needs to be on a high level in terms of his commitment, in terms of his genuinity, in terms of his knowledge, in terms of his actions, in terms of his intentions. But he does not need to be on the level of Rabbi Nachman to teach you Rabbi Nachman's teachings.
So he doesn't have to be the gaon of the whole generation. I mean, our goal is to tap in. We say, allow me to tap into the gaon of this generation. When we nullify ourselves, allow me to bound myself to tzaddik of this generation. So there is a tzaddik.
Generation is Rabbi Nachman. So you need to go find now how to receive his wisdom in this generation, and that comes from mashpiyas. For instance, we know.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry. You said the tzaddik of this generation
is Rabbi Nachman.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the spirituality of him. However, the physicality is you have to find that person that is learning and is engrossed in his teachings.
100%.
Well, what if that person? So basically, you definitely need a physical person.
Yes. Yes.
So what if that person is going to Eretz Yisrael and you don't have now another one?
I'm gonna send you the website called LL. You can book a flight and come with that person.
All right.
I have a question. Siggy's friend.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So like, let's say rabbis who teach Rabbi Nachman, like, let's say rabbis, their rabbi is technically Rabbi Nachman. Is
Okay.
that okay? Like, there's
Yes.
rabbis in Israel who like learn Rabbi Nachman's teachings, and basically all of their shiurim is based on that. Is that okay? Is that considered
Amazing.
like a mashpia?
That's wonderful. That's
Okay.
wonderful. But ultimately, where did they learn Rabbi Nachman's wisdom from? They had to have learned it from a mashpia.
Right. They learned it from somebody.
They learned it from somebody, right?
Okay. Amazing. Yeah.
So everybody
Yeah.
everybody had to learn it from somebody. There's no way not to.
Right.
Because ultimately, Moshe Rabbeinu, which in this sense, in this vein, is like Rabbi Nachman.
Mhm.
That light was too intense. They said that Moshe's face was like the light of the sun, but he had a student who was very faithful to Moshe. And even though he was not on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, that was actually his gift. Because if he was on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, then he also would have been like the light of the sun. But because he was so committed, he was so genuine, he was so authentic, he was so l'shem shamayim, and he had such kashrut, he had such attachment to the tzaddik that he never left him. So as a result of that, Yoshua could actually do something Moshe couldn't do, which was relate to everybody. You'll notice if you read Rabbi Nachman's biography, it's very hard to relate into many things that he says, because it almost seems like he has reached a level of spirituality which is far surpassing anything that we could do. However, Rabbi Nachman said, nobody will know me except through Rav Natan. And what was he hinting to? The fact that Rav Natan's greatness is in the fact that he's my Yehoshua ben Nun. That it's not his lacking, meaning you can't know me except through him.
Right.
That's why it's so important to learn Likutey Halachot, which is Rav Natan's book. That's why it's so important to learn what Rav Natan had to say about how to live with Rabbi Nachman's teachings. Because Rabbi Nachman himself said, you can't know me except through him. Because the light of the sun is too intense to look at. You need to receive that light from the moon. And the moon is the Yoshua ben Nun. So in that case, you need to find your mashpia, and that mashpia is in the bechina of Yoshua ben Nun. And that Yoshua ben Nun, his greatness and his benefit to you is the fact that he's not Rabbi Nachman. So because he's not on that level, but because he's so connected and he believes so much, he's so attached, he's so genuine in it, so he is able to take that very, very intense light and constrict it for you that you're able to receive benefit from.
I understand. And it's okay if that person is not a rabbi.
It is okay. What do you mean when you say rabbi?
So, okay.
How big is this guy's beard?
So let's say there's somebody who is not a rabbi, but is very much involved in like Rabbi Nachman's teachings and teaches people, you know, and like cares about people and helps people, just doesn't have the title of a rabbi.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter that he has the title of rabbi. That doesn't matter at all. But what does matter is he does what Rabbi Nachman says.
Right.
Meaning, even if he teaches you what Rabbi Nachman says, but he himself does not personally do what Rabbi Nachman says. Like, I'll give you an example. Rabbi Nachman says you should do at least an hour if you go to do today. If a person comes along and he really believes in Rabbi Nachman, and he even has a whole entire organization he teaches Rabbi Nachman, and he has a lot of followers, but he himself does not do at least 1 hour a day. Let's say he does 20 minutes a day. Yeah. So that would be problematic because it's not about being a rabbi, but it is about making Rabbi Nachman your rabbi. And what does it mean to make somebody your rabbi? You do what they say. So to the degree to which that person does what Rabbi Nachman says or is attempting to that degree, his giving over Rabbi Nachman's teachings to you will help you. And therefore you need to pray very, very much that whoever your mashpia is, whoever the person is who's drawing down Rabbi Nachman's light, is genuine, is authentic, and has he kashrut and bittul to Rabbeinu, that he has nullified himself to his wisdom and his eitzah to the best of his ability.
I understand. I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, of course. There was another question here.
I sent one via chat
Okay,
twice.
I'm checking it out. Are all women supposed to be there even if they feel wrong on every level? Wives, I mean, are all wives supposed to be there? Even if, what is it? I met mine at 17. I'm 50 now. Very different from what I. Oh. No. So the concept that we're trying to get out is that, so to speak, the wife which needs work in your
What's
life.
the question?
The question is, I'm trying to bring a spiritual concept that Rabbi Nachman brings, which is very deep. That is that your wife, in a very real sense, is your own body. And I was trying to bring the fact that one of the reasons why your actual physical wife is so connected to physicality is because she's connected to the goof more so than the men. This is why she's also more lamaaseh than men, right? That she tells you we need to be able to have rent, we need to be able to have clothes, we need to be able to have food on the table. And you might tell her, oh, don't worry, it's going to be there. But unless she actually sees that it's going to be there, she's not believing you. Why isn't she believing you? Because her faith is bound up with physicality. Now, the question is, does my wife now need to get on the level that she understands that everything is from Hashem? So obviously that's ultimately a great goal, and you're hoping for that, you're praying for that, and you want to help your wife do that to whatever degree that you can in a way that is peaceful, in a way that's loving. But ultimately, the real ikr that Rabbi Nachman is trying to get out is the wife that you need to help is your body, your own physical body. So it's not about having married the right person or on a certain spiritual level. It's really,
I'm there already.
it can't be that you're there. It can't be that you're there. If you were really, 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 really there, your wife would also elevate with you. So you have to, in your hibodedut, do some tremendous soul searching and ask yourself, am I really there like I think I'm there? And you'll find that there's a very, very good chance, almost 100%, that you still have what to work on. Okay? Everybody have an amazing, amazing day. Tomorrow we will continue. Bezrat Hashem, will be the last day of the week of Likutey Halachot. Thursday night, we were going to have our very special, there was a program that I was invited to speak at, specifically on the concept of Tikkun HaKlali, because the whole program is about Tikkun HaBrit. And this is an auspicious time to work on this and to achieve growth in this area. So obviously, we know that Rabbi Nachman has the Tikkun of all Tikkunim, which is called Tikkun HaKlali. So I was asked to speak on what Tikkun HaKlali is, what the benefit is, how to use it, how to utilize it to the best of your ability. So there is a flyer that went out on the Tzion Breslov group. You're going to see it there. That is, I'm going to be teaching in Queens. So if anybody's around tomorrow night to come to the class, also to have support from the Tzion family would be very, very nice. I believe they have their own program there as well. There would be guys there as well, but for you to show the own light of your own faces would be great.
We're in Queens.
If you're not on the Tzion Breslov WhatsApp groups, if you are, you'll see it there. If not, you can text Benjamin Roberts. If someone can post his phone number down below here, he will add you to the WhatsApp group, and you'll be able to always see what we're doing and what are the new happenings. The last announcement is what I announced yesterday as well. That is that 2 weeks from, or a week and a half, we'll say, from now, Tuesday night, it'll be the 19th, Tuesday, January 19th at 8:30 p.m. I will be in Miami, Florida, Bezrat Hashem.
Gedalia Fenster, right?
Yes, I'm going to be co-teaching a class with Gedalia Fenster. This will be the first time I've ever done that. This will be our third national tour, so to speak, that we're going to a different place in America, thank God. So it's very exciting news. Bezrat Hashem will be able to live broadcast the class. But if you're in the area, it would be great for you to come. If you're not, Bezrat Hashem, you'll be able to watch from home. But please mark out that night. Don't make any other plans. And hopefully it will be something very, very special. Everybody have an amazing, amazing day. And don't forget, an hour a day keeps the doctor away.